Thanks for joining me tonight, everybody. Our special guest is Debi Bahm, or Deborah Bahm, as I've never called her. She is a wonderful family friend, I should say. She's actually my husband's aunt. So I've known her for 2.5 decades, and she is a real blessing to our family. Before we even got involved in natural health and wellness, anytime there was ever anything going on in our family, usually from a medical perspective, the first phone call you made was to Aunt Debbie. So she wrote in 2020, her sister, Karen Hopkins, is the one of the owners of Growing Healthy Homes, and convinced her, after years and years of Debbie giving her advice, helping her as a nurse. She also has, she's RN, BSN, and MA. So she's also a counselor. So again, everybody in the family, it's nice to have a nurse and a counselor in your family. At least it is for us. I don't know if she enjoys it as much as we do. But Karen convinced Debbie to put her information into a book. And this is not just because of the most recent times that we're dealing with. This is great information for everybody to know, just in general, all times of the year. So we're gonna have a little Q&A time. And Aunt Debbie, why were you finally convinced to write this book?
Well, because of all the conflicting information out there, I was concerned that it was making them more fearful than they should be. So basically what I wanted to do is sort through all that conflicting information, help them sort through it, restore their faith in the natural defenses that God has given us, to reduce the fear, and to know how to support your own God-given natural immune response. So that's why I wrote it. Just basically, my heart was like, people are confused. There's a lot of conflicting information, and the fear is rising. And I think fear doesn't help our immune system at all, or our faith.
Absolutely.
So basically that was the reason.
Well,
and my sister asking me over and over and over and over again.
Yes. She's not used to anyone telling her no. So
no, that's right.
You've known that your whole life. So when we talk about viruses, so let's break it down, because people, a lot of times in the natural world, we're told to start asking questions and be a health detective in your own situation. It's not to prescribe or diagnose, but what we're doing is we're just trying to get to the root of a problem. So when we talk about a virus, it's different from a fungus or a bacteria. And can you kind of just give us some specifics, like you outlined in the book, about what makes a virus a virus?
Well, the virus is actually the smallest of all the known pathogenic organisms. Pathogenic meaning it can create disease. So the virus is smaller. Now, we all know that we carry what we call normal flora. All work together to keep each other in. Our body has this natural defense. Bacteria can keep viruses and fungus in check, and the same the other way around. So although they're the smallest of all known pathogenic organisms, they're actually the most numerous biological entity on Earth. And I say that because I want you to realize we've lived with these things for a long time. God has made us to live and function together. So there's a lot of them out there, more than has ever been identified, I'm sure. But with a virus, they have to have a host to replicate. So they need to, when somebody, let's say, sneezes, it goes out there in the air. It has to find a host. If it dies in the process out there in the environment, then it can't replicate. So it has to have us as a host, or something, a living being as a host. But the thing about viruses that I really want you to know is they want to cohabitate with us, because if they kill us, they die too. Does that make sense? So if they're killing all their hosts, they're not going to survive. They want to live with us. So that's the simplest little explanation. Of course, there's a little bit more in the book that kind of help you with that. And I do list the phases of how this virus wants to work to get inside of you and start duplicating. So, and that's interesting because it helps you when you read this. It'll help you when you read through the other parts about why these nutrients help. So, any other questions about that? That's kind of the simple explanation, but
right. So you mentioned even, there's seasonal viruses that come, the flu is supposedly the flu. We don't believe the flu is a season, but there's times of the year where some viruses we're more susceptible to them, but that may not be so much the virus itself. It's really kind of what's happening with our immune system, right?
It can be both.
Okay.
Because the hotter it is in the sun, the more humidity, all those things outside in our environment can also kill the virus before it even gets to us. And then also, and I was going to speak about this in transmission, but we'll just go with that. Ask me your question again. I lost my train of thought with the picture change.
Okay, sorry, I didn't realize it changed. I was trying to mute myself. So basically, what we're talking about now is the immune system is our biggest. We want to interrupt the cycle. We want to interrupt the cycle of that process that you mentioned that, and sometimes there are seasons that we tend to be more susceptible to these viruses.
Right, and it could be just your susceptibility may be more so because you have another illness, or let's say you don't take vitamins and you're very low on vitamin D, which is 75% of the population or maybe more. It's just the estimate. So if you don't know your vitamin D, you should find that out. So a lot of things can, help us fight these viruses, and a lot of things in the environment can too. So hand washing, yes, that's good. Although, if we're going to talk about, let's go into virus transmission, because this is kind of what I'm hearing the most of the questions. The vast majority of virus transmission is person to person through direct contact. It's not going to be a casual walk by in a store. It's not going to be, through those kind of things. It's close contact, more than just a few minutes. And that's how basically viruses transfer. And the more sick or the more symptoms a person has, the more they can transfer the disease. So if they have fever, if they're coughing a lot, they just feel bad, aches, whatever the symptoms are. And this particular virus has many different symptoms. And I think, that's kind of what throws people off. But the more those symptoms you have, the more you're going to be able to pass that on to somebody else. And by direct contact. They do theorize that you can get it through indirect contact, but that has not been researched or proven. So that's basically another thing that I think mainstream media is confusing people with, because although that's a theory, it really hasn't been proven. Most of the proven cases have been person-to-person contact by somebody you're in close contact with. Does that make sense?
It does. And so you're saying the term you used in the book is viral load. Yes. The higher the viral load, the more risk of transmission. So just like we've always done, if you're not feeling well, if you have a fever, stay home. I mean, but if you have symptoms, just don't try to, transmit them to others. And we know too, that that's also our body's kind of sending a signal, because what's happening, and you explained this earlier, is the virus goes through a series of steps of you might be, and this is why you might be contagious before you even realize it, is because it has to go through, it attaches to you, then it penetrates the cell of the host, then it actually, there's a an uncoating of proteins. I mean, you go into some good detail here of what it actually, how it happens. There's 6 steps, and you might be in various phases of that.
Well, you're not going to be until it gets to the replication phase and that viral load is increasing. You're not going to probably be infectious. So until you start having some type of symptoms, the likelihood of you being somebody, you easily transmitting that to someone is low. Absolutely. And that's what with all viruses, and they haven't proven that this one is any different in that area.
Right.
Although they are blocking some of the research, but
okay.
Yeah, we won't say any more there.
So on page 5, for those of you who are following along in the book, and this book is it's not a long read, but it's very factual. It's good. Got a lot of good information, and it's very straightforward and simple to understand. So I appreciate you doing that. But you said that in regard to mutations, that lifelong immunity is probably not even possible. We know even with people who choose to get the flu vaccine every year, there's a new one every year, right? I mean, they're constantly having to do, did she freeze? There you go. You're unfrozen. Are you there?
Can you hear me?
I can. Your screens, I think it might be your Wi-Fi. It freezes from time to time. Basically, your mutating viruses are going to happen. So what can we do then to arm ourselves and protect ourselves? It's not to say we aren't going to get sick or be exposed to something. What do we do to put ourselves in the best position to stay healthy or to recover quickly?
Well, the best thing is to boost your immune system or maintain your immune system. On a regular basis, do the things necessary to help your system. We go into the next phase to go. Laura,
yeah,
me or not?
You're cutting in and out pretty bad. So
I'm sorry. I think there's a storm coming out here or something.
I think so too, because when we tested this earlier today, you were fine.
So that's not good.
No, when we tested earlier today, we did just fine. So go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so we were going to talk a little bit about, sorry, remind me your question again.
So we're going to talk more about the immune system, what we can do.
Right. Okay.
To kind of start, you specifically went through nutrients, the different nutrients that we need to have. For those of you following along, it's on page 10 is where we're starting.
Okay, okay, so it actually starts on page 8, but it goes through. Now, the one I want to explain on page 9, I would consider the first category up there, Young Living supplements. These are the things you would want to take whether you're sick or not. So like maintaining your immune system. Now, if you do get sick and you want to boost your immune system, you want to go down to those ones in the second category that have higher amounts of some of these things. And then you're going to increase those amounts. Okay. Does that make sense?
It does.
That's a little bit about that.
It does. Okay. So these are the specific, for those of you following along, these are the specific supplements she mentions. And then the why is it's what we can get into specifically the nutrients that are in those. I mean, all of our vitamins, our supplements, of course, have essential oils because we're Young Living essential oils, but they also have trace elements of zinc, iron, copper, selenium. If you want to go into more into that of why those are so important, that'd be great.
Well, the micronutrients with the strongest evidence for immune support are vitamins C, D, and zinc. So I would focus on those if you have, limited funds, just get those. And my favorite thing to say is to everybody should be drinking Ninja Red, take mass formula, and either Super B or Nitro. That's kind of my go-to maintenance. So there are going to be some that are hard to get from other ways, and that would be zinc. But these, if you'll read this little area where it's talking about all these vitamins and these trace elements, they prevent attachment. That's the first line of defense that we have. So when you breathe it in your nose, when you have that initial, if you don't want to increase that viral load, then we need to stop at the beginning, which is prevent attachment. And these vitamins and nutrients, these trace elements and these vitamins help do that. The other thing they do is they are in the defense against the release phase. And that's where, okay, it gets into our DNA, the RNA of the virus gets into our DNA, and we start releasing that so that it can go get into others. So we want to stop that phase too. So these are very important. And I think sometimes we don't realize, being deficient in something like zinc or even vitamin C or vitamin D can cause us to, our immune system to be compromised. And so that's why I think it's very important to know the why, because to get ourselves to do it every day, we need that reason. We need that why. And then that way we're like, oh, well, that makes sense. I need to do this. Oh, and that was another thing I was going to let you know. There's a little green box. Where's that green box on? What page is that on, Laura? Where it says the ones that you can't store.
I believe it's on page 19 at the very end, micronutrients that the body is unable to store and need to be consumed daily.
Yes. So remember those you're going to have to consume daily. It's vitamin B, E, zinc, and selenium. And so those are, you want to make sure you're eating something with those in them and taking and we decided the best source for zinc, remind me, it was what was the name of that? AminoWise, right?
It was AminoWise. Also, I believe it's out of stock right now. So I believe that, let me check it real quick.
It's in another product, but it's not.
It's in PowerGize.
Yeah, PowerGize.
PowerGize is
more in AminoWise than PowerGize,
but both are out of stock right now. But Super B, which we know we can't store, we have to take daily. So those are all Super B also has zinc. So, and what's great about it too is there are foods here. So Aunt Debbie, if you're needing to get more zinc into your diet, she lists the foods that are. Of course, we have that Nutrition 101. We have those types of foods, but this has oysters, chickpeas, cashews, and hemp seed. So if you're needing to get more zinc into your daily diet, those are four of the most highly that contain the most of zinc. We also wanted to touch on something in that section on back on page 11 under the nutrients. We talked about glutathione, and you mentioned this. I found really interesting that glutathione. Of course, we know that it is the master antioxidant, and its job. We want to have protective agents in our cells. If you don't know what antioxidant, if we think of antioxidation, anti-rusting, our cells being free of corrosion, basically. And glutathione is one of the main things that helps with that as a master antioxidant, the mother lode, they call it. But your body needs to have sulfur, dietary sulfur, or what we call MSM, to produce glutathione. And Debbie and I were talking about this, and some people say, well, just you can get how do we get glutathione the best way? Well, wolfberries contain MSM, and so but would you tell them what you told me about just a liquid glutathione versus getting them through the Ningxia red or Ningxia wolfberries?
Yeah. Well, what they found is they have tried to make supplements, and there are supplements out there that are just called glutathione. But what they have found is the body breaks that down through the digestive tract and it's not utilized as well. So the best way for you to have glutathione is to make it yourself. So you need to give yourself everything necessary. And in Gary's book, The Wolfberry or Ninja Red, he talks about how there's everything necessary to make glutathione in Ninja Red and Master Formula. So I like to add either nitro or the Super B because we need, the B's. And so that's why I say those three items that they're pretty much necessary to maintain your immune system. I would just put it on your list. We got to keep this going.
Yeah.
But the one thing I wanted to tell you about glutathione. Glutathione is one of, you did say that, a potent antioxidant, but antioxidants turn on the appropriate cells to activate the immune system when a pathogen is present. So it's not like we can wait. Oh, I'm sick, I better go get some Ninja Red. This is why we want it present when that initial phase, so we can stop this process as soon as possible.
And I got to tell you, I have personal stories from that, from about 11 years or so, 10 years ago, whenever my husband and daughter were both exposed to H1N1. And I changed my diet. I did cleanses on the regular, and I never got sick once but I was caring for them constantly. Actually, it was right after Christmas that year, and both of them got really sick, and I was going to start a cleanse in January, but I kind of felt the Lord telling me, you need to start now. So one of the things that went along with that cleanse was Nixia Red, Balance Complete, of course, Digest and Cleanse. So those are important things that we're already giving our body what it needs. And then last year, when my husband got very, very sick with a virus that shall not be named, he ended up having to go to the hospital, developed double pneumonia from it. And I lost my smell and taste, but because I drink my red drink every day. That's Nixia Red with sulfurzyme powder and oils in it. The most I had was just those symptoms. And it was when he went to the hospital, I lost my my sense of taste and smell, and got it back the day he came home. So to me, that was more emotional response than it was even a physical response, so to speak. Yes, I was snorting oils the whole time, trying to repair that. But I will tell you, I am a habitual Nixia Red drinker, and I drink sulfurzyme, or we take sulfurzyme capsules. And I really believe that has been very instrumental in me dealing with viruses and my body being able to, it's not to say I don't ever get a scratch or get, a scratchy throat or didn't have a symptom, but it was way less. So I don't know what you think. I know we've had that conversation, Aunt Debbie, but that's just my personal experience. And I'm sure some people on the call have had that too.
Well, my favorite thing right now along that subject is frozen Ninja Red packets. And I'm probably eating 3 or 4 a day.
Nothing wrong with that.
They just taste so good.
It's hard to stop. Hey, I know we can talk about this kind of an addiction. It doesn't hurt anybody. It only helps people. And everybody that's on here we just got done with a month of 30 days of Nixia Red. So that's good. We've been talking for a while now. This, as you can tell, this book is very helpful, very thin, slimline book here. It's got great information. We're going to start taking your questions. And I'm also going to let you guys know there is Growing Healthy Homes has extended a code to us for 15% off the book. For those of you who don't have it yet, you can use the code virus15 for 15% off until October 12th. So I bought a bunch of them. I give them as gifts. I like to have these on hand to reference. And it's a good reminder to be able to, I know somebody who gave it to her doctor, her health professional, and they were like, this is amazing. This is great information. Everybody needs to have this. So it's good to be able to have it on hand. So go ahead and put your questions in. I'll go back and look at those. and read those for Aunt Debbie. Of course, they're all saying, thank you so much. Your book is so helpful. Let's see here. Much needed topic. Thank you for all you've done.
You're welcome. I'm glad it's helpful.
Someone asked, did you say vitamin D or B? And I believe we said the three most important things again were vitamin C, D, and zinc, right?
C, D, and zinc.
Okay.
Let me go back.
It looked like there was a question of
really
what is
dependent on how low you are amount. I would say, what is the what?
Go ahead.
what?
You stopped. We couldn't hear you for a minute. So go ahead and repeat that.
Which part? I'm
C,
sorry.
D, and zinc.
Oh, to get your vitamin D checked, because the amount you need is very dependent on how low you are or where your value is.
Okay.
Did you hear all that?
Yes.
And they, your doctor's going to tell you, well, maybe you're recording this. I shouldn't say this, but oh, I would just encourage you to be higher, up to at least 70, 80 range. From the research all that I've read, and that's not from me personally, but just the research I've read.
Agreed. Okay, how can we protect ourselves from getting so many virus variants? I'm getting over a very hard COVID variant and want to know how to avoid getting another.
Well, they have, when I'm going from newsletters that I get from Dr. Blaylock and Dr. Brownstein, who also have current practices and are treating COVID patients. And from what they're saying, and this is, hundreds of patients, not just a few. What they're saying is it's still the same thing. It's get your immune system where it needs to be. It can fight all the variants. I probably don't want to go into all the other stuff, but just to know that you don't have to fear other variants. Remember, a virus is going to, if it mutates, which it does, and some mutate more than others, but a lot of those mutations are not able to survive at all. And the only ones that really do that, they can survive in the host. The mutations are going to be probably less severe. So there is no need to be to be worried about it. And I say that only in the stance of a normal virus. If this isn't a normal virus, if they're creating something in a lab, which we won't go there, we could have variants that, do other things, but we won't go there. So we're just going to trust in the Lord, and we're going to have good immune systems.
I agree with that. I totally agree with that. Sarah asked if she could give a testimony. So we're going to unmute her and let her share.
Okay. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
So I would just wanted to share this testimony really quick. And that is with my husband, Darren, who and I won't go into the story of last year, but he went through a lot last year and almost died. He ended up with a open heart, triple bypass open heart surgery. And I mean, there was a lot of things, a stroke, from plaque that broke loose from an artery. Anyway, that's a long story. The point that here's the part of the testimony I want to tell you. When I brought my husband home, I intentionally detoxed his liver and his kidneys from, all the surgeries and stuff that he had. And then I ended up putting him on almost every supplement Young Living has. I mean, he was taking so many things. But in that was, the Nink was his red drink, and he had it more than once a day. He had, his master formula, and I ramped up his vitamin C, vitamin D3, zinc, like the vitamin A. I mean, but I mean, it was really all of that ramping was me. He was taking like double doses of his Young Living supplements. I mean, from CardioGize to PowerGize to AminoWise, all these things, is Super B. I was doing everything to support his kidneys, his liver, his heart, and his brain because of all the things that happened. And the thing was, we were super consistent constantly. So fast forward to 8 months later, he had a SpectraCell micronutrient blood work done. And Dr. Purser was overseeing this. And he also had some genetic testing done with lots of different genes, looking at different gene errors. But Dr. Purser was absolutely shocked by Darren's SpectraCell micronutrient blood work. Now, this blood work is extremely extensive. It takes 3 to 4 weeks to get the results back, and it tests your blood to find out how well your body is actually metabolizing the nutrients you're taking in, all the way through all of the metabolic stages to the forms that your cells can actually use. And so when it's saying, like Dr. Purser said, you could have like a blood test, and some doctor might say, oh, you have plenty of B12 in your body. But then a SpectraCell might say, well, you're very deficient in that that B12 because your body can't take it through all the stages. Enter a Super B, by the way. Anyway, and so it tests how the levels of your vitamins, your minerals, many antioxidants, your mitochondrial activity, and your immune system as a whole. And Dr. Purser was shocked because he hadn't seen blood work as good as Darren's and results as good as Darren's in any of his hundreds of patients in over 6 months. And he never saw results as good as Darren's in patients who had diabetes. And so Darren's immune system wasn't just average, it was above average. All his vitamin D3, all the levels were amazing. He was not low in anything. And y'all, it was all the Young Living supplements and being so incredibly consistent. And my husband, so that was 8 months of not missing a day and doing all the things that he needed. And so in March, I ended up getting sick. And I had a moderate case. And Darren, and I also really felt, and he felt in his heart, that he was totally fine with being close to me, helping take care of me, sleeping next to me, all those things. We felt very confident in our heart, and the Lord gave us confidence in that. And he did amazing. And our boys, they did amazing too. And but I just, as somebody who had a history and basically a lot of, underlying health issues, for Darren to be in such direct contact with me, but yet his immune system just we had the proof in the blood work of how strong and amazing his immune system was. And this was somebody who 8 months before had sepsis through his entire body, and had infection in his entire body from a gangrene in his gallbladder. Y'all, he went through so much stuff. But this is just really a testament to the power of, getting in good nutrients and being consistent. And like Darren's for 8 months, actually for the past 5 years, he's not had any sugar. Like he eats because of the type 2 diabetes, and he was a severe diabetic and had gone undiagnosed for 20 years. But for 5 years, he's been very strict on a super healthy diet. And, and then, this time of him taking all of these things for all these months. So, and he exercises 3 or 4 times a week. He's pumping his lymphatic system. And I mean, he's doing all the things that he needs to do. And quite frankly, he was more consistent. I'm learning a lot from him. He really has been more consistent with just the day to day, getting all the extra nutrients in than I was, but I have learned from him and I've done so much better. So anyway,
Thanks, Sarah.
That's good, Sarah. Thank you. I would tell you when we came and visited, it was amazing too, because everything was set out and ready to go. And right there, like you had all of his, these are the supplements you take. So it was really, even I was looking at going, wow, I need to do something like that, because if we are able to be consistent, imagine what we could do for our immune system. So especially for somebody who had gone through so much. I will also say this, and Aunt Debbie, we know that we can talk about science and we can talk about chemistry and we can talk about nutrients, but there is a total another aspect of wellness. And I'm sure as a nurse working in hospitals, seeing emotional health and where we are also, that we can do all the preparation, but we also have to, you mentioned fear right at the beginning of this. You mentioned fear. You talked about emotional well-being. How does emotional well-being play into our immune systems and being able to conquer viruses or be stronger in the midst of those things?
Well, when we're emotional or stressed or in fear, which would create stress, anxiety, this blocks our immune system from working at all, because it changes the avenues of all the where our hormones are working. Our cortisol increases instead of the other pathways that we need. And so our gut changes. We're not able to utilize our nutrients that we're, trying to get into our body. So all these things change. So your blood hormones and things, in the background, and it starts deteriorating pretty significantly from being able to work. And I think it comes down to, as a Christian, we have to walk in faith. We have to believe that what God has given us on this earth to provide for our health and in our body is going to be able to work. And he has provided us new things, not essentially new because they've been around, like the essential oils. They were around for a long time, but the knowledge of it had gone away for a long time. But he used Gary to bring it back to us for such a time as this. And I believe that. So there's a lot of things that are being revealed to Christians. And yes, we need to step up. And when God tells us you need to give this information to people, we probably need to share that. But yes, spiritual is very important. You've got to keep your body working in. And I'll be the first one to say that it's something that you have to do daily. So be in the Word, walk in faith, trust Him. I always think of I think it was the centurion he had asked for his daughter to be healed. So, and tell me if this is the right story, but I'm pretty sure it is. And so Jesus, they were headed back to his home. His servant came and said, "No, don't bother to come because she's died." And Jesus said to him, "Don't listen to them. Have faith." So that's how I think about all the things that are going on around us, all this conflicting information. Even for me in the world of medicine, you have doctor's reports, you have x-rays, you have tests, you have all this stuff. Those are all the things on the outside speaking to us and saying, "Oh, worry, 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 have fear. Don't do that, do this." Those bombard me a lot because I'm a nurse. So to maintain that walk of faith, I have to do it on a consistent basis, not just once a day, but on a consistent basis all the time. And remind myself, don't listen to them. Keep your eyes on Jesus and just believe.
Amen. Good word.
Yeah.
Very good word. Well, you guys, I put the code in there till October 12th, 2021, if you're watching this in the future, hello, future, you can get a discount code with the virus 15. You can get 15% off until October 12th at growinghealthyhomes.com. I will tell you that also next week, we're going to be talking Nutrition 101. All of these things are preparing us for November 1st for our No Regrets November, leading into 90 days of wellness. We're just going to continue. We just talked about supplements. Then we did Ningxia Red. Now we're talking thieves and immune system. We're just going to keep finishing 2021 in a really strong way and going into 2022 really well. We're going to also have Chef Mandy O'Neill is going to join us on the last Monday of the month. We are going to talk about raw food and things we can do. She has some recipes for us from the Raw Food Feast, which is also a book from Growing Healthy Homes. And you can get that when you order your virus book, and you'll be able to make some of the nice yummy desserts in that book and make those as alternatives during the holidays. You can experiment with some really delicious, healthier desserts. So we love you guys. Thank you, Debbie. It's so hard to call you Debbie.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you, Aunt Debbie, for joining us tonight. You guys really
Thank you for having me.
She did an awesome job doing this book for us, and we really appreciate you.
Thank you. Love you.
Good night, guys. If you'd like to join us back here at 9 o'clock, we're going to have Mentor Monday for those of you who would like to go over the compensation plan and silver bound bonus. So we're going to close the meeting down now, and then we're going to come back in 15 minutes to do our mentor call. So love you guys. Have a great evening, and we'll see you next week for Nutrition 101.